some of the few independently filmed images of the riots in Lhasa, Tibet. The shots captured by 24-year-old Australian tourist Mike Smith, giving a rare insight into the recent unrest and the Chinese response.
People need to see this man.
Friday we were out for lunch at one end of town, and I heard an explosion and looked out the window, and down the far end of town there was smoke rising from the buildings, and then just outside where our restaurant was, the Chinese had already sort of blocked off the street with riot police, so it had obviously started sometime before that. And then army tanks rolled into town, sort of right along the street where we were having lunch. And so we sort of sat there for a while and looked at sort of the scene going on there, and then headed down the street towards the other end of town, which is where our hotel was, where the smoke was coming from, which is basically where the riot was happening.
We're in the middle of Lhasa, and the people are going crazy, rolling over cars, lighting them on fire, smashing into Chinese shops. Down the other end of the street, the Chinese are waiting for them. They blocked off the road. This is where the riot started, and down the other end is where the Chinese are waiting for them.
I did not feel at any moment threatened by the Tibetan people. It was definitely not an irrational act of violence against people on the street. It was definitely very targeted towards Chinese people and Chinese influence within Tibet. And in fact, me being on the street with a video camera, the Tibetans were happy to see me there, and a number of them came up and spoke to me.
In Lhasa, we don't have any freedoms. And Chinese government tell to the Tibetan people, all over the world, they're giving the freedoms for the Tibet peoples. We don't have any freedom, and when we don't have any religion freedom in Tibet.
I'm back at our hotel now. The Tibetan people that are here at the hotel won't let me back on the streets to film. They're afraid that if I'm caught with the camera, they'll be put in jail for life. So
The morning after, the Chinese were still putting on a show of force, despite international calls for restraint. Smith and his group fled to safety to Kathmandu, a non-stop 30-hour drive away. He arrived home on Tuesday afternoon shortly after a fiery protest forced the closure of the Chinese consulate in Sydney. All the signs are the Chinese hardline is continuing in Lhasa, with international media reporting dozens of Tibetans suspected of involvement in the riot have been rounded up, handcuffed and taken away in army trucks.